When my mother said it, she didn't lower her voice. Your sister is bringing her boyfriend to meet the family. She doesn't want your kids there. They'd ruin the perfect image. It wasn't said cruelly. That's what made it harder to argue with. It was presented like logistic. Like adjusting seating at a table. I held the phone a little tighter, not because I was angry, just to stay steady. I understand. I said, and I meant it. In the way you understand something you've seen before. Not once, not twice. Enough times that it stops surprising you, and starts fitting into a pattern you don't name out loud. I hung up before she could soften it. The kids didn't ask many questions when I told them we weren't going. I kept it simple. Plans changed. They accepted it the way children do when they've learned that some explanations don't come fully. We made our own version of the day. It was quieter. No crowded table, no overlapping conversations. Just the three of us, moving through small traditions that didn't require anyone else's approval. It wasn't sad exactly, just contained. But there was a moment, later in the afternoon, when one of them asked, "Are we going next year?" I paused. "I don't know," I said. That was the most honest answer I had. The next morning, I was still in that same quiet space when the knock came. Not tentative. Firm. Repeated. I opened the door to all of them. My parents stood at the front, tense in a way that didn't match the holiday that had just passed. My sister was behind them, arms crossed. My brother lingered near the edge, like he wasn't fully part of whatever this was. And next to him, slightly apart, was his girlfriend. I'd only met her once before. No one smiled. My mother spoke first. "You didn't have to make it sound like that," she said. I frowned. Not because I didn't understand, but because I wanted her to finish the thought herself. "Like what?" I asked. "Like we excluded you," she said. The word catching slightly, like it didn't belong to her. I leaned lightly against the doorframe. "You did." My sister exhaled sharply. "That's not fair." There it was. Fairness, suddenly important, but only now, after the fact. "It wasn't about you," she continued. "It was one dinner, one impression. You could have been more understanding." "I was," I said. And I had been. That was the part they didn't know how to respond to. There had been no argument. No scene, no resistance. Just acceptance. It left them with nothing to push against. My father stepped in, his voice more controlled. "We just think you could have handled it differently. You made it public." I thought about that. Public. Meant to them. Not exposure of the truth. But exposure of the image. "I didn't add anything," I said. "I just didn't hide it." There was a small shift then. Subtle but noticeable. My brother looked down. My mother glanced toward my sister, who didn't meet her eyes. And then, unexpectedly, someone else spoke. The girlfriend. She hadn't moved closer. Hadn't raised her voice. She just said it like she was stating something obvious. "I thought the kids were just busy," she said. "That's what I was told." Silence followed. Not heavy. Just empty. My sister's posture tightened. It wasn't like that. The girlfriend didn't argue. She just looked between them. Then back at me. "It kind of was," she said, softer this time. No one rushed to correct her. That was the moment things shifted, not dramatically. Not with any kind of collapse. Just a quiet misalignment. The story they'd been holding didn't quite fit anymore, not with someone outside of it looking in. My mother's expression changed first. Not to apology, something more uncertain than that. "We didn't think," she started, then stopped. I didn't help her finish. Because that was the truth of it. They hadn't thought. Not about what it meant, or how it would land. Just about how it would look. And now, it looked different. "I wasn't trying to cause anything," I said evenly. "I just didn't want to pretend it was something else." No one argued with that. My sister looked away. Toward the street. My father shifted his weight like he was about to say something else, then decided against it. My brother stayed quiet. The girlfriend said nothing more. After a moment, my mother nodded once. Small, almost involuntary. "We'll talk later," she said. It wasn't a resolution. It wasn't even a promise. Just a way to leave without admitting too much. They turned one by one and walked back to their cars. I closed the door gently. Inside, the house felt the same as it had the day before. Quiet, steady, ours. Later, the kids asked who had come by. "Family," I said. "Are we going next year?" One of them asked again. I looked at them for a moment. I think, I said slowly, we'll decide what feels right when the time comes. This time, the answer felt different, not uncertain, just no longer automatic.